on, everybody? It's JetsCentral coming back with another video, and I just wrapped up watching the Adam Gase introductory press conference along with GM Mike McCagnon and then acting CEO Chris Johnson. And I said, you know what? I want to make a video on this, giving you guys my initial thoughts and my initial reaction to the presser. So let's hop right in. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, and it's Adam Gase, right? Adam Gase is kind of trending on Twitter right now because of his facial expressions, his answers that he was giving throughout the presser. And I've actually received some messages over social media saying this guy is clearly out of it. Something's a little off. Why did you guys hire this guy? It was clearly a mistake and this and that. I noticed it too. Watching the introductory press conference, watching him kind of roll his eyes, and he just looked a little wide-eyed. I'm not going to put a lot of stock into it. I just think Adam Gase's strong suits don't really lie within motivating a crowd. I just feel like he probably doesn't like public speaking. This isn't anything new. We already knew this about Adam Gase. We watched him get introduced for the Miami Dolphins. We watched him game after game after game reacting in the post-game pressers to the Dolphins. And he's always been like this. He's always been kind of blunt, to the point, really short. And you could just tell he just doesn't he feels as though he doesn't have time to answer questions that he doesn't really feel are worthy, I guess. That's just kind of my takeaway from Adam Gase. Is I feel like he views the press conferences and whatnot as almost like a waste of time. So that was just kind of my reaction. I also feel like Adam Gase, he doesn't really like public speaking. I don't really like public speaking. A lot of people don't like public speaking. When every single eye in the room is focused on you, and you have to go up there and talk and answer questions and stuff like that. I just feel like Adam Gase, that's just not up his alley. It's not his thing. And I just feel like Adam Gase just wants to get out of there. I feel like Adam Gase's strong suits or his positives lie within X's and O's. Scheming, coming up with offensive game plans, coming up with an offensive playbook. That's where I feel like Adam Gase feels comfortable. I feel like he felt pretty uncomfortable today when every single person the whole day is revolved around you. You have NFL Network there, you have ESPN, you have all these social medias going on. You're being filmed by a million different people. And I feel like Adam Gase just doesn't really feel that comfortable doing that. We can't go in as fans thinking that Adam Gase is going to be Rex Ryan, just motivating everybody. Everybody sees he's just going to make them feel like $1 million. That's not Adam Gase. That's not Adam Gase at all, not in the least. So let's move on. Some of the questions I thought were, I just wasn't blown away by some of the questions that were being asked. I thought they were really vague. I just wish they would have not only sat up there longer and gave a little bit more in-depth, conversation, or not conversations, but a little bit more in-depth questions along with more in-depth answers. I felt like it was pretty vanilla. It was pretty dry as far as a press conference goes. And I'm not out here looking for, hot headlines and stuff like that. I wasn't watching this press conference to feel motivated. I was just watching it to see what Adam had to say to some hard-hitting questions. I just feel like they weren't really there. There were a few questions out there that were really good, but after I actually watched it on Jets 360, which is the New York Jets streaming thing. I watched it on their YouTube channel. Afterwards, after the press conference was over, Adam Gase actually had an opportunity to talk to a few guys. Eric Allen, I believe. I forget who the other guy was. He played safety for the Jets. I think it was Eric Coleman. But in any case, he was answering some questions, and it looked like night and day. He was completely normal. He was answering the questions because you could kind of tell, all right, I'm talking to two guys now, not a whole room of people. I'm talking about football, real football questions, X's and O's. How am I going to get Sam Darnold involved? What's the plan moving forward? Defensive questions and stuff like that. And you could tell right off the bat in that interview, Adam Gase seemed like a totally normal dude. He seemed excited. He seemed a little bit more motivated when he was talking to those two guys. And not gonna lie to you, after the initial press conference, I was sitting there, I was looking at my brother man, this was pretty uninspiring, right? I just felt like the fire wasn't there. But we stuck around, we waited for that, the little after interview, and all of a sudden, my opinions completely changed. It seemed like Adam Gase, like I said before, was night and day. He was a completely different person. He was going in depth. He was going, talking about Sam Darnold and just the way, or the, I guess, his vision for the offense as well as the defense, and then also developing coming up coming up with a coaching staff, right? Putting together a coaching staff. So I really liked what Adam Gase had to say in the second part of the Jets 360 interview, because obviously he had the intro presser where he was at the desk with everybody. And then like afterwards, once he started like talking to those two guys individually, that's when like the sparks started to fly, and I really enjoyed it from that aspect. But one thing that kind of angered me throughout the press conference was Mike Maccagnan he didn't even say a word. Like, nobody had any questions for Mike Maccagnan. He didn't even like say anything up front, like, hey, I just want to give a quick thank you to Coach Bowles. It didn't really work out. Something along those lines. He didn't thank anybody. He didn't thank Adam Gase. He just didn't speak a word. And I just kind of would have preferred if Maccagnan would, whether he said something up front, just, hey, before we get started, I just wanted to thank Adam Gase and his family for coming and this and that, or thank everybody for showing up. It was just nothing. He just kind of walked up, sat there, and like left. And it was just kind of weird. Nobody had any questions for Mike Maccagnan. I felt like there were some questions that should have been asked, but it is what it is. I think all in all, everybody's going to make fun of Adam Gase, because of his eyes and because he just was giving really blunt and to the point answers and whatnot. But we have to understand that Adam Gase is not Rex Ryan. Okay, Adam Gase is not Mike Vrabel. He is not Jim Harbaugh. He's not going to give the media a ton of headlines that they could run with. He's just going to give basic answers, really vanilla answers, and he's just going to try to get out of there because he doesn't, quite frankly, I feel like he doesn't like dealing with the media. That's just kind of my opinion, watching him game after game after game with the Miami Dolphins, after games, pre-games, and stuff like that. So the presser's over. I have to say I didn't really enjoy the introductory press conference, but afterwards in the Jets 360 interview with Eric Coleman and Eric Allen, that was great. You just heard him go in depth, and he was motivated, and he was just, like I said before, night and day. So if you guys can, go check out that video. If you guys weren't really too pleased with the intro presser, those two guys were asking great questions, and I really came away pretty impressed after that second part of the interview. So I'll leave it there. Let me know your thoughts on it, and as always, thanks so much for watching, and go Jets.